Hi, welcome to the True Mouse Games YouTube channel. My name is Alex, and in this episode of RPG Snippets, we will be talking about a moral conundrum that I have posed to my players a few years ago. Let me give you some background information first. Bear with me, there are a lot of different angles to this problem, and you need to have some of the background information to be able to think about it and to be able to answer the problem or solve it. The player characters are living in a realm called Cantrian. Now, Cantrian is shaped like a crescent moon, basically. The center of the moon is where the rich cities are, the main cities. The north is a province that is a little detached from the rest of Cantrian because there is a large mountain range in between. This northern province, the province of Numinar, is where the player characters are residing, and they are quite influential there. They know most of the local powers, they know the merchant lords, they know the local counts and barons and such. Numinar does not currently have a local ruler. The Grand Duke was assassinated after proving himself a traitor to the realm. Now all the local rulers have to fend for themselves until the king appoints a replacement. However, the king has its own problems because Cantrian has been in a war with an empire called Locas that attacked the southern provinces of Cantrian and took away parts of them, and were just barely pushed off in a fairly costly war. Now, north of the province of Numinar, there is a realm called Gassad. Gassad is a realm consisting of several very rich merchant metropolises that lie along the coastline on the north of the country, and a fairly poor interior, a land with mines and plantations and fields worked by many tens of thousands of slaves. Now, these slaves, treated fairly badly, have risen up in a very brutal revolt a few months ago. They slaughtered their masters, they slaughtered the families of those masters, and they have proclaimed themselves free, calling themselves the chain breakers. They have even defeated several of the armies that were sent by the king of Gassad to stop them and punish them. However, now the king of Gassad has called upon an elite mercenary army that came from across the ocean, landed in Gassad, faced the so-called chain breakers in a massive battle, and nearly obliterated them. After this battle, in the shocking aftermath, the slave revolt had started breaking apart, and now many thousands of refugees, of former slaves, of rebels, some would say, are fleeing across the border into the province of Numinar. Slavery is illegal in Cantrian. In fact, owning a slave is punishable by death in the whole realm, including Numinar. Most of the refugees that are coming are old people, women, or children, because many of the men have been killed by the mercenaries that were facing them on the field of battle. Autumn has come and winter is approaching. So feeding the many hungry mouths that are coming across the border and housing them, protecting them from the fierce winds and the rains and snows of winter is also quite tricky. Numinar does have some stockpiles, but it might not have enough to feed its own population and also the slaves that are coming across the border. The question here is what to do. There is no real right answer to the problem. There is just different ways to solve it. Let us make a few things clear. Turning back the slaves means nearly certain death for most of them. Either they will starve or freeze in winter, or they'll be slaughtered as a punishment by the mercenary army, who seems to be very bloody-handed. However, several of the former slaves are also very bloody-handed. They have raped, they have pillaged, they have murdered their own masters, and some of them are ready to do whatever necessary to get out of Gassad and escape with their families. They're ready to fight the local forces of Numinar, which have been weakened by the battles in the south. Gassad wants their property back, and it is not certain whether Cantrian can afford for the relationships with Gassad to deteriorate by accepting the slaves. there are different and opposing decisions that the local rulers wish to make. Some barons and counts are on one side, some merchant lords and so on are on the other side. Some local rulers dislike Gassad and do not wish to work together with them. Others dislike slavery in itself and wish this horrible practice to stop. Some, especially amongst the merchants, see the large potential in a large workforce that will be prepared to work for very little money come spring. For many of those, slaves are kind of skilled laborers. They know how to work in the mines and on the fields and such. And I mean, they are slaves, so any payment for them will be better than what they have expected and lived through in Gassad. Other local rulers are fearful of violence between their own population and the newcomers, or they might think that the stockpiles of food are not enough to get everyone through the winter. Some are very much aware how shaky the whole power of Cantrian is at the very moment because of terrible war down south and the fact that they have lost a large part of one of their southern rich provinces to the empire of Locas. And they do not wish to antagonize Gassad if they can avoid it. Now that is the essence of the problem. Now let me ask you, what would you do? And what would your favorite character that you have ever played do? Or maybe what would your group of players do if you are a game master and you know them well enough to maybe answer this for them? Also, let me know in the comments what kind of moral conundrums and problems have you posed to your game group, or what kind of problems has your game master given you and how have you solved them? As always, if you like this content, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. And until we see each other again, good luck with your own games, stay safe, and bye-bye.